So you've probably heard a ton about how AI is going to change everything for students. But what about for the teachers, for the departments? Because here's the thing. You could have the most brilliant, cutting-edge curriculum in the world, but if the actual teachers in the classrooms aren't on board, it's going nowhere. Today, we're going to dig into how to actually make change happen. Think about it. When a school tries to roll out some big new initiative, what's the one thing that's most likely to stop it in its tracks? Is it the budget, the technology, the students? Well, it turns out the real roadblock is something way more fundamental and a whole lot more human. And there it is. It's all about teacher buy-in. Real lasting change isn't decided in some conference room. Nope. It happens when a teacher is sitting at their kitchen table at 11 o'clock at night planning the next day. And if they can't see how this new thing fits into their world, if they can't see themselves in it, it's just not going to stick. All right. So here's our roadmap. We're going to start small at the level of the individual teacher. From there, we'll look at how to help them grow and how to deal with the fears that can hold anyone back. Then we'll zoom out and see how all this can totally transform a department all the way up to the kind of leadership we need to make it happen. Okay, first things first, the teacher as practitioner. You know, the biggest trap with any new framework is seeing it as just another thing you have to do to your students, but that's not it at all. This has to start with teachers looking in the mirror. It's got to be about practicing what you preach. So let's kick things off with this idea of teacher taste. Think of it as a teacher's expert intuition, their superpower. It's that gut feeling that helps them pick the perfect text that will challenge students but not overwhelm them. It's about spotting that one quiet, kind of messy, but really brave comment in a discussion and putting a spotlight on it. Every time a teacher does that, they're sending a huge signal to the class. This is what matters here. And then we have teacher agency. You know, with all the standardized tests and jam-packed syllabi, it's so easy for teachers to feel like they're just following a script. But real agency is found in the small moves. It's not about throwing out the whole curriculum. It's about tweaking one assignment to make it truly connect with your students. It's finding that wiggle room to be a professional, not just a proctor, which leads us to teacher velocity. Now, this doesn't mean you have to jump on every brand new tech trend that comes along. Not at all. It's about being nimble. It's the ability to go from, I've never heard of that, to, okay, I ran a little experiment with it, and here's what I learned. It's all about running those small, smart tests in your own classroom. Now for a big one, the teacher intent horizon. This is the why. This is the North Star that guides everything. I love this idea of a lighthouse sentence that a teacher might have, something like, my goal is for students to see language as a tool they own, not a test they have to pass. When you have that long-term vision, every little decision you make day to day suddenly has a much deeper purpose. And finally, there's teacher interruptibility. We've all been there, right? The projector dies, the Wi-Fi cuts out. If the teacher panics, the lesson the students learn is that disruption is a catastrophe. But if the teacher just calmly pivots and says, all right, plan B, they teach something way more important than the day's subject matter. They teach resilience. Okay, so that's all about the individual. But how do we build on that? How does an entire department create a space where everyone can develop these skills together? Well, that leads us right into our next section, designing for growth. Let's start by reimagining pure observation. Forget that old intimidating checklist. What if instead a colleague sat in on your class and their only job was to look for these moments, to notice where you made a brilliant taste choice or where you created a real opportunity for a student agency? All of a sudden, that feedback isn't a judgment. It's a jolt of positive energy. And of course, we've got to talk about AI policy. A great policy isn't just a long list of don'ts. It's a clear, simple guide. It lays out when AI is off limits, when it's allowed, and maybe even when it's required. The entire goal shifts. It's not about catching cheaters anymore. It's about teaching students how to use these powerful new tools with wisdom and integrity. Okay, but let's be real. Even with the best plans and the best intentions, change is hard. It's emotional. And if we ignore the very real fears that teachers have, none of this stuff is going to stick. We've got to face them head on. And there are two big ones. So what are these two core fears? First, you've got the fear of replacement. That's that nagging voice in your head that says, if a machine can do my job, what am I even here for? And then there's its cousin, the fear of exposure. This one sounds more like, my students know more about this stuff than I do. I'm going to look like a total fool. Both are powerful, both are valid, and we have to address them. Man, this quote just gets right to the heart of it. Punched. Imagine spending your entire career perfecting the art of giving insightful feedback, making it your signature strength. And then a chatbot comes along that can do it pretty darn well. That's a punch to the gut. But here's the key. AI can mimic feedback, but it can't build a relationship. It can't show genuine empathy. That's where we, the humans, are irreplaceable. So how do you fight that fear of exposure, of looking foolish? You do it with moments like this. I love this story. A senior professor, someone everyone respects, has an AI mess up. And instead of getting flustered, he just laughs it off. That one laugh sends a more powerful message than any memo ever could. It tells everyone it's okay to experiment. It's okay to not be perfect here. That's how you build a safe space for real learning. All right. So we've looked those fears in the eye. Now, how do we build a system that makes sure all this good work isn't just a flash in the pan? This part is all about creating structures that help innovation last for the long haul. You know, one of the most effective habits for making innovation stick is also one of the simplest, the after-course review. When a semester ends, teachers just take a beat to ask themselves a few of these questions. But the real magic happens when those reflections are shared. They become this kind of collective memory, this shared brain for the whole department, so good ideas don't just get lost. Now, if you want a real game changer, here it is. This is the secret weapon. Bring students into the design process. Seriously, when you create committees where students and faculty work together to build courses and policies, everything changes. You get perspectives you never get otherwise, and students transform from being passive customers into active partners in their own education. Of course, none of this just magically happens. It all relies on a very specific kind of leadership. And let me tell you, it's not the old school top-down command and control model. It's something else entirely. It's called the curator mindset. Think about a great museum curator. They don't paint the paintings, right? They create the space, the gallery, where a diverse collection of art can come together to tell a powerful, coherent story. A leader with this mindset doesn't demand that everyone teach the same way. Instead, they cultivate an ecosystem where lots of different approaches can be tried safely, all working toward a shared goal. And look, this is not a one-person job. A truly healthy, innovative department is like a team of superheroes. Leadership is distributed. You need your anchor, the person who provides stability. You need your spark, who's always trying new things. You absolutely need the guardian, who makes sure everyone feels safe to take risks. It's a total team effort. So, as we wrap this up, the thing to remember is that this isn't just some abstract framework. It's a story that's unfolding in schools and universities all over the world right now. And that leaves just one final question. In your department's story of change, which role are you going to play?